Hey there, Berkshire Hathaway. So Nancy asked me to do a quick video for you and talk about if a buyer fell from the stars or from heaven, what would be the first thing that you would do? Well, I know me, and I would probably be figuring out a way to spend all that money, and I would be pretty excited about it, but that's not the right answer. The right answer is what's the smart first thing to do? So me having been a realtor and a loan officer, I do have some solutions, some suggestions of the smartest thing to do. And I will tell you that the agents that make money consistently, and they spend their time wisely, because time is money. And I think one of the differentiators between agents that have successful year after year and those that don't is the ability to know when to spend time on who and when. So just because today might not be the day that you put in gas in your car and take them to show a house, when is that time? And do you have sufficient milestone points that you have triggered for them when they are ready? So the first thing to do is ask about the pre-approval. So I'll give you an example that just happened. We got a person this past week gave me said they pre-approved, they just want an interest rate. So I get that a lot. And I said, well, that's great. Here's an about interest rate for you, but tell me why you don't want me to pull your credit. Well, because it's going to hurt my credit score. Well, you do know it's probably only going to be about 3 or 4 points on your credit score, and you're making one of the largest financial decisions you're ever going to make in your life, and getting a second opinion is smart, I believe, to do. And so they did finally say, okay, yes, we're going to give you the ability to pull credit. I pulled the credit, and guess what? They had perfect credit. They had a perfect job. They're putting down a lot of money. It was a perfect loan. But I'm old and wise, and I do make mistakes. But in this case, I didn't. And I did run the automated underwriting system, and it was not an approval. A lot of times, us loan officers, when we're busy, when things look really good, we just say, oh, it's good, it's great. And then it's not good and it's not great. In this particular case, there was a hidden little thing that hides sometimes. And this person had a foreclosure, and it was not 7 years ago, and they're going conventional. So they've got a pre-approval that is a conventional pre-approval, and so a realtor's probably going to put an offer out there. And that offer is going to be contingent upon conventional financing. They're not going to give conventional financing. No. So what's going to happen is they're going to counter in about 2 weeks and say, oh, we meant FHA financing. Well, the seller at that point could say, oh, guess what? We've got a backup offer for cash, and it's more. So we're not going to take your crappy convention or FHA type offer. We're going to go back to our second offer in line. So in that case, well, how do you know? Well, I'll tell you, a lot of times loan officers that are national loan officers have scripts, and they just know how to read scripts. It's like, if this happens, then that happens. If this happens, then this happens. They don't know. So look for a loan officer that I believe local and has a lot of experience. They listen. They can hear stuff. They know what to be watching and look out for. There's a lot of keywords that somebody's going to say, oh, so a lot of times an online app is okay, but you don't get to hear things that they say that could, take you a different direction entirely. Such as, hey, my salary is $75,000 a year. Well, okay, I can write that down on a piece of paper and I can believe you, or I can ask some questions. Like, is that salary contingent upon anything? Like, does your store have to sell stuff before you get that? Oh, you mean your salary is actually $24,000 and you got $50,000 of variable comp? Well, yeah. Well, see, there's me listening and knowing that there's more questions to ask. So that's, I think, the most important part is to make sure that the pre-approval, pre-qualification is written by somebody that has got a lot of years experience, that you can go thump them on the head if they're not being fair for you. But if they're out of state in a cubicle, good luck. They don't care. I mean, they kind of care maybe, but not really. They don't care. So that's my first point. Second point is, what is a pre-qualification and pre-approval? Well, a pre-qualification really doesn't mean anything. It just means I listen to you and it looks kind of good. A pre-approval means I pull credit, so that's good, and it should mean that I also have looked at your income docs, and that's real important. So some of the things that to warning signs: self-employed. That is the trickiest of the tricky, because a lot of times they're going to tell you what they think they earn, and a loan officer is going to just a lot of times believe them because they're telling the truth, but it's not what we use. So when somebody says they're self-employed, and let's say that they are, let's say that they're self-employed and they are in the service industry, like they wait tables. Well, they might not claim everything. They might have made $50,000, $60,000 working at Urban Grub, but they might have claimed less. Or let's say that they are in the trucking industry and they made $75,000 a year, but they wrote off 30. We don't know until we get the tax returns. So getting the tax returns on a self-employed person is absolutely critical. So a good question is, you got a pre-approval and the person's self-employed. Ask your loan officer, did you get tax returns? Did you look at them? So that's important. Another one that trips people up is, I got a pre-approval letter. Well, when are they starting their job? Because they're reloading. Well, they're starting their job in October and you're trying to close in July. Now, some lenders, such as myself, can work around some of those things, but they need to be worked around now rather than later, because if their offer for employment in Nashville is contingent upon something like passing a test, that's not going to be possible. They got to go pass that test. So with all the reload in Nashville, that is a critical question to ask. Is your offer for employment, when does it start? Is it contingent upon anything? That's absolutely critical. Funds to close. Where are they getting their money? Do they have to sell a house first? Can they qualify with both houses? Do they want to? Do they even understand what that means? They don't know what the word contingent really means. They don't understand that they're going to have to make 2 house payments and an equity line in most cases until you sit down, the loan officer sits down with them and goes over a budget with them and then says, hey, listen, this budget means if your house doesn't sell, you're going to be making payments on these 2 things plus this thing for this much time. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I can do that. That's no problem. Other times they're like, nah, that's too much. So timing is critical for you to understand when you're looking at when you're looking at a pre-approval and pre-qualification. So if they got a house to sell, talking them through that. Something else on my notes here. Oh, so when you're out there showing houses, and let's say that they've just found the house that they want, absolutely want, and it says condo on it. Well, don't ever believe anything you say or see when it comes to condo or PUD or townhouse. You need to do some research there, because your buyer, if they're just dead set on that house, we've got to first figure out what is it. Because if it's a condo and they're going FHA, we got to see if it's FHA approved. If they're conventional, we've got to have a condo questionnaire done. And so, you know, there's some steps there before we know for sure if it's going to work out or not. So that's absolutely critical for those. So I guess in short, I would suggest that when you do have a buyer, get them in front of a loan officer that's got experience and that can do a pre-approval, that can pull credit, that has reviewed credit, and that has actually put it through the automated underwriting system. So one of the good questions is have you run it through your automated system? And if they haven't, ask them to, you know, because there could be something in there that they just didn't notice, and it, you know, after you've already got an accepted offer out there, it's too late. So that would be one of the things I would look at the beginning. And the second thing is funds to close. Where are they getting it? Do they have access to it? Job starting dates, and the property that they're just absolutely wanting to buy. You know, if it's a condo, townhouse, or whatever, or if it's a house needing repairs. And so, you know, what we look for on those houses is health and safety issues. We don't really care about cosmetic, but we do look to see if there's standing water, holes in the roof, that sort of thing. So those are some of the beginning steps that I would look at, because I would recommend that you get those out of the way before you get them in your car and you start spending money on them, spending time away from your family, and more importantly, even spending time away from that borrower that is pre-approved. So Nancy, thank you for letting me share this, and I hope that you guys are enjoying some food on us. And if you have any questions, Megan is there, and she is an expert, and she is ready and willing to answer any and all questions. So challenge her with some good questions. Hope you all having a good day.